What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're all having a marvelous day and you had a great weekend. Exile 451 here with you again for another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Got a story out of r/get disciplined today that I'm sure you're gonna love and most likely easily relate to. So sit back, relax, and let's get motivated. I'm 29 years old and a huge procrastinator. I've been searching for the Holy Grail for most of my 20s. I think I recently realized what I've been doing wrong the entire time. Stream of consciousness warning. Alright, so let's start with some context. Way back in 2008, I was like many young men entering their 20s, an underachiever who finally realized he had to take some steps if he wanted to attain the life he wished. Like many young men, I developed an addiction to self-improvement. My first hit was reading The Game by Neil Strauss and chasing the idea of becoming the best version of myself. Although I never became the master PUA I wanted to be at the start, I managed to make several drastic changes to my life. I dropped from over 20% body fat to under 10% and built a fair amount of muscle. I changed my grades from mediocre, high school, to absolute top-notch, university. I managed to stop smoking and cut out some other addictions. I developed a very rigid sleep schedule and pretty much had everything in my life the way I wanted it to. More importantly, I was extremely disciplined. If I wanted to do something, I would outline a plan and follow it rigorously. In my mind, this was obvious. I would tell others seeking advice to just do it. However, due to circumstances outside of my control, my progress in my study program was halted, and I spent an entire semester with no clear purpose or idea of where my future was going. I did not know at the time, but during this semester, I somehow lost my trait of discipline. My habits stuck with me. I got through my master's with honors, and I kept working out. But it slowly dawned on me that I had serious trouble with applying change to my life. So, for the next 6 years or so, I felt that something extremely important was missing from my life. I had this vision of the person I wanted to be, yet I wasn't moving in the right direction. I started feeling guilty about all the time I wasted, and I would periodically, maybe every 3 months or so, sit down and write down goals for a set period, week plans, etc. I would read about some method online and set out a detailed plan to follow it. And every time, the same thing would happen. I would fail. Every single actual change I wanted, I would fail at. I wanted to get better at running, in contrast to lifting. So I set up a program for it. After a few weeks, I realized I wasn't following the program at all. I would come up with an excuse or procrastinate. Every familiar area, however, would be no problem at all. I could set up detailed plans and follow them. As this repeated again and again, I started believing that something was seriously wrong with me. Was I doomed to never return to my glory days of discipline? Then, a realization hit me. For the first time in a long time. Of course I wasn't getting disciplined, because none of what I was doing actually had anything to do with discipline. I remembered a professor from my master's who told us about a study he had conducted on Norwegian top skiing athletes. The goal of the study was to see what separated the winning skiers from the mediocre ones. To everyone's surprise, the answer had been quite simple. The top skiers actually followed the training programs and diets they were told to follow. I had everything backwards. Plans, programs, and schedules don't give you discipline. They require it. Plans and programs are excellent tools in order to achieve results if you can follow them. But in my case, I realized they were a part of an increasingly vicious circle. This circle went something like this. I feel bad about myself not living up to my potential and wasting time. I decide to do something about it. I come up with some method or plan and typically make goals and schedules for the next week. I spend a lot of time visualizing where I want to be. I become motivated and determined, and the anxiety slash shame slash whatever I feel is gone. I feel like I have accomplished something. I feel like I will finally realize it. This is it. I fail to follow said plan, feelings of shame and failure show up, I distract myself with video games, socialization and some other activity, and repeat. I suddenly realized why this was happening, and what it actually meant was that I lacked discipline. When I felt bad about wasting time, this was my brain's way of telling me that there are problems I need to attend to, decisions I need to make. Instead of attending the problems, however, I engaged in what could only be described as an advanced form of daydreaming. By designing a schedule and thinking about my goals, I created an illusion of myself as being productive that was so powerful that I would trigger the reward system in my brain. This made me feel like I accomplished something, although I actually had not. So why did I not follow up? Because I made plans that assumed that somehow, through sheer force of will, I would be someone else tomorrow and would be able to motivate myself to commit to a long list of tasks. I somehow imagined that tomorrow I would have more willpower than today, but I never did. If I decided to wake up at 6 in the morning, that cost me a lot of willpower. This meant that whatever else I was planning that day was way less likely to occur. And not only that, I had wasted my motivational energy the day before on planning. My imagination had been so vivid that my brain decided to stop handing out motivational energy. Not only did my planning sap my motivation, it created a false sense of who I really was. And that haunted me from day to day. Thinking up various daily routines I could follow and how that would make me into a superhuman somehow made me shameful for not doing all of that. And this again made the temptation for distraction more and more powerful. In this way, schedules, planning, and motivation became just another form of escape. Just another drug for my brain. And I finally realized what discipline actually is. It is the ability to recognize anxiety slash shame slash whatever as a signal from your brain that there is a problem that needs attention and immediately go about solving it. It is about recognizing your brain telling you to seek a distraction and paying attention to what is actually happening. What are you telling yourself? What reason are you giving yourself to procrastinate? Can you override it a bit this time? If you do, it will be easier next time. And if you do it enough, you'll start being someone who takes action immediately. My biggest reason for procrastination is that I constantly worked out problems in an imaginary, predictable future. I didn't attend to what was right in front of me. I made schedules, plans, and goals that were motivating to fantasize about, but that actually intensified my shame and anxiety every time I failed to realize them, prompting me to distract myself. One important realization that I made was that many of my goals and dreams were false. They exist in a fantasy world based on fantasy ideas about what makes me happy and what is meaningful. The truth is that I don't know my SMART goals or something I've never done. I don't know anything. I only know that I have a gut feeling that tells me I want to try out something vaguely defined. And that's okay. That's all I need. The future doesn't exist. The only time I can take action is right now. I can't fail because I have no idea what constitutes success. I only learned this by doing something. It's actually terribly obvious. When I play video games like Skyrim or Witcher 3, I don't sit down and schedule my day in order to achieve a certain armor or weapon. Still, I work extremely systematically. It appears organically. This is what discipline is. Listening to yourself and acting in line with what you want right here and now. So does this work? So far, yes. I take action more often. I've done things recently that I've put off for years due to some vague idea that I needed to plan how to do it. Turns out, I just needed to get started. Not only that, but I'm a lot more content these days. I no longer have the same feeling in my gut of impending failure or some sort of time pressure to live up to whatever standards I set. I still make plans and use methods, but I use these to solve problems I've already initiated working on, where there's some momentum. My point with this post is, I don't know, I wanted to share my experience with someone else, see if anyone else sees themselves in this post. Writing this is also a consequence of me paying attention to what my mind is telling me I should do. I have a need to express this, so I did. Any thoughts are welcome. Okay, so, long video, I'll keep my commentary short, but wow, what a post. Maybe not the most motivational thing of, rags to riches or anything like that, but still, what a wonderful insight as to the human mind and the things it takes to really get dedicated and motivated. I took a lot of stuff out of this that I'm going to be able to apply to my own life, and I hope that you guys did as well. And it's unfortunate that the account is deleted because I would love to give the original author credit for this. So thank you, OP, whoever you are, for sharing this, and I hope that this did as much for you guys as it did for me. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm so very grateful for all of you and the support you've given the channel recently. The growth has been incredible, and I can't thank you all enough. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Now go have a great day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.